to the Young Entrepreneurs Podcast, the podcast where a high schooler can learn to turn their passion into a business.
There will be three main takeaways from this podcast. Number one, how to take your passion and turn it into a business.
Number two, what it's like to be an editor/writing coach.
And number three, how to market yourself on social media. Today we have a writer and editor from England coming on who has been running his own business for a while now and is thinking about taking it to the next level.
Liam, thanks for coming on.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, so our first question here, I just want to ask you if you could tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so as you said, I am a writer and editor. And I guess an entrepreneur first and foremost. You guys caught me a cool time in this take because I'm actually just about to go and embark on a new business venture. I'm actually looking at starting a new business in the next couple of weeks, so that's exciting. But
wow.
I guess background wise, you could say that I grew up as a creative. I was always, looking to create things, and the main form for me that I found that I'm the most effective with is obviously the written word, writing and creating stories and poetry and just anything written, even if it's even in boring school terms, I enjoyed it, which was sort of weird. But I'm really into creating for the sake of not only myself but the people who read that work, be they young, old, male, female, alien, whatever, anyone.
So, how did you get into entrepreneurship?
I guess it was I sort of stumbled into it. I mean, it was the typical finishing school, not knowing what to do. Employment rates are very low, so there was nothing really going in a typical career standpoint. And I guess it was a case of thinking, this is my life. What I'm currently embarking on a journey of life right now, and it's am I happy to spend the rest of my life doing whatever it was I was looking into at the time. At the time, I think I had visions of personal training, something to do with the fitness industry, because I was working just a desk job at the local gym that I was training at, and I sort of thought that's still, unless you become really successful on your own with a personal brand, that's still being tied down to someone else. And then obviously while I was working, I still had this this love affair with writing and reading and everything to do with the publishing industry. And I thought, why, what is stopping me from taking this passion that I have and trying to make it sellable, coming up with a service or maybe a product or anything that I could turn into a career and something that I can live my life based upon, and the freedom that comes with it especially. So that's where it started. That's where I decided, this is what I want to do with my life, and whether it takes 10 years or 30 years, it's what I will do with my life.
Wow, it's pure motivation.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you almost took a path of personal training. So does that mean that working out is one of your biggest hobbies still?
Of course, yeah. I believe not just obviously for the health benefits, but for a mindset standpoint. I think if I didn't have my 6 days a week of training, I would probably go insane. That's, I'm serious as well. I would probably lose my mind, because it's just that no matter what kind of exercise it is, whether you're lifting weights or kicking people in the head, as I currently do, it's just that 1 hour where you can't afford to think about anything else. Because if you think about it, when you're under the bar, when you're doing a bench press, you're going to drop 100 kilos on your face. If you're thinking about it when you're sparring in the gym, you're going to get punched in the nose. So it's that 1 hour or 2 hours or however long you're training for that you just really get to think about nothing else but that exact moment. And I think that's something that's very rare in everyday life. Yeah. So that's such a sacred space for me, in especially within the realm of entrepreneurship as well, where everything else is all go. That's my time to just put myself back in the moment.
Yeah, it's important to have a balance.
100%.
Are there any books that you've written that you would like to tell our listeners about?
Not me personally. None of my stuff is actually published yet. I don't have time to, work on my own stuff and my client stuff and all the business side of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a case now where I'm dedicating all of my time to client work. But there's a book that has just been released. It's a client of mine. He's an Irish guy, and the last time I spoke to you guys, I was saying I was flying out to Ireland for the book launch.
Yeah.
That went well. That went awesomely.
Great.
There was probably 200, 300 people at the event. It went
that's
really
great.
well. It was awesome. And that book is called How I Met My Guardian Angel, and the author is Robbie H. Andrews. So it's a story of enlightenment and finding your true purpose in life. And it's a very deep, sort of insightful tale. And if that's something that you would be interested in, then by all means check that out.
Yeah, so we actually should have asked you this earlier, but how was your whole experience? Going to this event,
It was
and
great.
meeting everyone.
It was so great. Like it was sort of weird because I guess that this is something I didn't realize until I was there. And me being, I'm 21 now, like I'll be coming up 22 in the next 4 months or so, 5 months or so. And it's like growing up, especially in the early stages of high school, I was like very introverted. Like I would be, I'll be that kid who was sat in the corner, typically with my book and my pen, just, by myself. And when I was stood in this room where, this is what put it into perspective, I was stood in a room with like 200 other people, and the only other person I knew in that room was someone who I'd only spoken to over FaceTime, and the rest of those people were all, friends, family, like people who knew each other, all because of the author. Whereas the author was the only person I'd ever spoken to, and that was only over FaceTime when we were working together. And if that was me 6 years ago in that position, I think I would have literally like melted into a pool on the ground. Like I was so bad in like social situations. But I spent the whole night just walking around, talking to people, listening to people. Like I'm such a huge lover of getting into random conversations with random people and just hearing what people have to say about life and their take on things. And I literally spent the whole night just walking around talking to people. It was so cool.
Wow.
That's so cool.
You've mentioned to us that you work with writers around the world to help them hone their craft, and that you're a coach writer. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, so yeah, I offer editing services mainly for fiction writers, people who tell stories coming up, like the things that I used to do when I had time to do my own stuff. And it's essentially based on the publishing industry standards. So that's what a professional editor does. They take what a writer has created, the bare bones of the story, and they make it, I wouldn't say marketable is the right word, but more suited to the market. That's sort of the same thing, but if I said make it marketable, it would sound more like I was changing the content of their work, whereas that's not what I'm doing. I'm making it clearer and more in line with the typical conventions of each type of story, because the main job of an editor is to give a story a purpose. Like the story either works or it doesn't, and I go through that process with my clients to say, this is what we have so far. The story needs this, and this to happen in general terms, and then we work together to apply that directly to their story. And that's like one type of editing. The other type focuses on grammar, spelling, like on a line by line basis, sentence structure, making sure every sentence is not overdone, it doesn't have too many words, it doesn't have too many commas. And then the writing coaching is very similar to that, but instead of working on a book, I set assignments based on those elements, and we go back and forth, discussing those elements to hone those specific parts of writing a story.
So that's pretty much like what you did in a nutshell with the guy you met in Ireland, I suppose, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was what inspired me to start doing the coaching, because I was originally just meant to edit his book, and the process of that looks a lot like we would have an initial call, sort of like an onboarding call. I would talk them through everything, and then I would just update them via email as I was going with the project. But Robbie was different in the sense that he wanted to be there while we worked. He wanted to be on FaceTime for the whole process. So while we were editing away, I was actually on FaceTime. Like, it took about 10 days of consistent FaceTiming for like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Dedication.
And we just sat down and just rattled through it, because he already had his publication date. So we had to get it finished and to the printers so that we could have it all printed and ready to go. So that was sort of a new experience, because I'd never directly, looked someone in the face and said, this part of your story isn't strong enough, we need to make it stronger, because it's a lot different actually saying it to someone, you know what I mean, as opposed to just typing it out and then having them read it at a later date. So that was really interesting, and I enjoyed that process. And then I thought, this could be a different type of service that I could offer for people who don't have the budget to pay for a full edit but are still interested in seeking out professional help. And that's sort of where that business idea came from. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. And then off the back of that, there is a marketing consultancy, like author branding, which is like helping people to get their foot in this sort of community, because a lot of people don't have like the slightest clue what they're doing when it comes to social media and Facebook ads and all of that intricate stuff. So that's another thing that came off the back of that I do over Skype, talking people through content strategies and like marketing strategies and all of this fun stuff. So yeah, I'm into that as well.
Yeah, lots of different aspects to you.
Oh yeah.
So now that we know what you do and what kind of person you are, we want to know, how did you come up with the original idea for your business, and how did you go about starting it?
Okay, so the original idea, this is actually quite a cool story, because I remember the exact moment. I was looking for an editor myself, and I didn't actually know, I didn't have the slightest clue what an editor was, what they did. Like, I just thought they took your book and ran it through some magical machine, and then you got some amazing book out of the other end. So I spoke to a couple of editors here and there, and I had a few calls with people, and like there was this one woman who I got on the phone with her, and the level of detail that she went into was insane. Like it absolutely blew my mind. I was like, wow. And from there I was like, this is something I would love to learn about. And from that moment on, I started on forums and on blogs and just reaching out to writers saying like, I want to learn how to edit, let me edit your book. And it was like, that was not like, let me edit your book and you pay me this much. That was like, just let me edit your book. I don't want any money. I want to learn this craft. I want to learn how to do this, because then I want to make it sellable. I want to make it scalable, because I didn't feel as though I could just jump right in and charge people money for when I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So right. I was just like, let's learn the actual craft of it and then figure out how to actually run a business and how to, market a business in 2016 it was at the time. So
yeah, taking baby steps.
Literally, like that same day I, put up a website and was offering free critiques on people's work, and that was it. Like, I just went from there.
Cool. So you said that writing-wise, you work on social media content and blogs for companies and ad businesses. So
yes.
Could you tell us some of the businesses you've worked for?
There's nothing, there's no major, like, I would love to be like, oh yeah, like Pepsi and like, all these, yeah, I do all of their ads, but like, you know what I mean? It's, there's no like major, like there's a few local pet shops and things of that nature in the northeastern area of England. There was a bakery that I did some content for, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
Made me hungry, but it was pretty cool to write. And then the rest of it, I did a lot of work for some online like supplement companies, which was cool because of the background in the gym. The gym work, obviously, that was stuff that I'm interested in anyway. So they were cool to write for. But that actually kind of relates to this second business that I'm looking to start, which is going to be, because I've tried branding my business as sort of both, where I want to offer written content for like businesses, but I also want to provide services for fiction writers. And sometimes it's too much. I think you have to find a more specific consumer, and it's going to be like a digital agency, and it's going to be purely based on, you know, social media marketing and social media consultation, and actually taking charge of people's social media, providing them with content, videos, pictures, you know, written words, writing the copy, and then Facebook funnels, like ad bots, like literally everything to do with like social media marketing. And
Wow.
That's cool.
it's I'm working on, it's sort of it's a strategy where, and the best thing about social media marketing is that you don't even need to know what you're doing. Like, as long as you can sell something, the power of hiring freelancers to do the actual specific work is very, very viable. And that's the business model I'm going to try and start it based on, you know, working with find some freelancers that know what they're doing, and then use those people to scale the areas that I can't cover. So obviously I would cover the written content. I can make a few pictures here and there, but and then you would maybe hire like a videographer, and then I know a bit about Facebook ads, but then I could hire someone who is specific to like e-commerce businesses or like services and creating funnels for Facebook ads, which I know a little about in the writing community, but maybe someone knows about it more in like a dentist industry, you know, like crazy things like that. And it's such a scalable business, because every business in the world is interested in social media marketing, and the benefit of it is that not a lot of them know how to do it well. So
yeah, we're still learning how to like do our own advertising too. So
yeah, it's such a trial and error thing, and it's the thing that most people focus on is, you know, they want to run an ad, and then they want to make a return on investment on it. Like they're too busy thinking about the ROI of something, when the ROI of that thing should be the growth of their brand. In my eyes, if the brand is growing, the investment has been returned, and that's how I approach, especially my own social media marketing. And my brand grows, you know, I gain followers, I gain views, I gain comments, like engagements up, and that's the way I look at things, because it's those things that makes it easier to sell to someone. Like for me, you're not going to sell much to people who, you know, when you see these people like the spam people with DMs, and they jump on LinkedIn and spam people with messages, and it's just every single day just spam. Like, I have this product, buy this product, I have this product, and I have this service, buy this service. And it's like, it's just like, it's so cold and ungenuine, and you can just see right through them, and all those people want is your money. And for me, it's like, why not actually, you know, create something that people are interested in, create connections, create actual social connections on social media, you know, the clue's sort of in the name. And then once you've actually got your foot in the door, you know, try and pitch something to someone. And not enough people are doing that. And that's something I want to try and bring to the attention of business owners, you know, rather than going cold, try and, you know, warm the water a little bit, and then try and do business with someone.
that's really good advice for us, actually.
Yeah, good.
So
I'm happy to help out.
this is a bit off topic, but you said that you're going to go to Mao Dai, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for fight training, and we really think that's really cool. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, Muay Thai is, you go and you get punched in the face and you get kicked in the ribs, and it is the best sport in the world. I currently do 5 to 6 days a week of training, and that typically looks like, at the moment I'm I'm carrying a bit of an injury. My wrist has been playing up for like, well, I'm saying at the moment it's been like 2 months and it's not going away.
Wow.
So it's like sort of gotten to the point now where I'm just like accepting it as like, yeah, I just got to deal with it. So my training is currently Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturday, and it's like probably about 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week of training.
Wow.
It's intense, but it's so much fun. Like it sounds weird, but like there's no better feeling than just being punched. like like it's one of those moments where it's like you might have had a stressful day and then it gets to 6 p.m. and it's like, yes, I'm going to get punched now. Like and it's just because that punch hits you and like you wipe the blood away from your nose, and like that's just like after sitting at your desk all day, like that's like the highlight of your day. And it reminds you that, you know, there's more to life than, well, there's definitely more to life than being punched in the face, but there's also more to life than sitting at your desk all day.
Wow.
And that's sort of there's some sort of psychotic way that I justify it.
What
Yes.
would you say is the single most important skill for a young entrepreneur to have?
Okay, so I think this is the answer I gave last time, and it's still the same because it's the answer I'll always believe in, and that is patience.
Right.
Patience wins the game. Like for me, this is something I've come to terms with, you know, actually 2 days ago, and it's as long as you are willing to do, and it's in regards to finding the right thing. And I think
Yeah.
when you find that thing that you can do for the next 10 years without making a single penny, and
Right.
you'd be happy to do that. And once you find that thing, that is what is going to eventually make you at least somewhat rich. Like that is the way I think of it. Like, because the thing with patience is you can never have it if the thing you're doing is something that you don't like. Like, no matter how patient you are, if you don't like sitting at the office 9 to 5 listening to people all around you like talk a load of shit, like you're never going to be patient with it because you're not going to want to be there.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, it's be patient, but in order to be patient, you have to find that thing, that one thing that from the moment you start doing it, you're like, okay, this is my thing. And the advantage we have in 2018 is that there are so many things
Yeah.
that are now monetizable, you know, like with social media. Like if you wanted to run an ads agency 30 years ago, you had to have budget to print things, you had to have budget to put up a billboard, you had to have all of this budget that you don't need these days because it's all online. You can use the money that people are paying you to hire the people to do the work. And it's like, once you realize the opportunity that we have, you can start learning the things that you want to learn, finding the things that you want to do in life, and then applying the patience that comes with those things to the overall game. And
Yeah.
that is my main theory in life.
So with patience being the main thing, right? I don't know if you've heard this term before. Have you heard of the deferred life plan term?
Deferred life. No.
Basically,
Enlighten me.
It's like taking what you have to do first to make the money to do what you want to do later. Is that something that you believe in, that patience could work out with, or is that something you are against?
Sorry, say that again.
So the deferred life plan is you have your ultimate goal, but you do something that makes you money, like a 9 to 5, and then
Right, okay.
afterwards you
I'm
do
with
what you
you.
want
I'm
to do.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you. So I am all for that. Like, obviously, you have to make money. Like, you can't just like sit on your computer and bash keys and like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have some kind of strategy
Yeah.
in there. But I suppose with the patience, you have to be willing to work because
Yeah.
you have that 9 to 5, but then what you have after that is another 7 hours where you can do something. And most people just don't have the drive in life. Like I think most people think that if you have a 9 to 5, that's your existence. Like they just sort of accept, okay, this is who I am, this is my role in the world, and this is how I'm going to die. And like for me, it's just that is the last place I will ever end up. Like whether I end up being a businessman who sells carpets, I don't know, I just looked at the floor there and that's what I saw, or someone who continues on this sort of the journey that I'm on right now, I know that it's never going to end for me in the hands of someone else, and that's something I truly believe. And I think once you get to that frame of mind, you can start putting in the work that it takes, you know, after that 9 to 5 or whatever you are working for the monetary gain, to create something that's more meaningful.
Yeah, that's it. I believe that too. Some people are against a deferred life plan, but I think that if you have to do it to get where you want, you have to do it.
Of course. You know, you have to eat, you have to have a roof over your head, like, and it is a lot easier to get a 9 to 5 that can provide those things than it is to get those things in an entrepreneurial world. That's the truth. But in the same breath, it's like there's much more fulfillment in the latter. And for me, it's like, are you willing to, as you know, Gary Vee, you know, talked about him last time, are you willing to, you know, eat that dirt and then make that, like, sort of build on your own thing after that? Or, you know, would you rather do that 9 to 5 and then just complain about it for the rest of the evening? Like, I know what I would much rather do. So
Right.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for doing this podcast for us and taking the second shoot of it. We really appreciate it.
That's my pleasure, guys, honestly.
Yeah, so guys, what happened the first time was our audio was echoing, so we thought we might give it a second shot with Liam, and I think this one actually ended up turning out a little bit better.
Yeah, thanks for being like so willing and easygoing.
Awesome.
Working with us on this.
No, you guys, honestly, like, it's honestly no problem. I had fun.
Yeah, us too. That was Inside the Mind of Liam Cross. He showed us what it's like being an editor and writing coach and how to balance your daily life with the strive for your goal.
Remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Young Entrepreneurs. And if you're interested in coming on the podcast, DM us.
This has been Tony
and Akash.
We'll see you guys next week.